Hi guys, this is Luca from 2100 News. I'm here with Lodewijk from Anything app, which is an app that will enable you to make money over the phone by helping other people via chat, text or video call. Hi Lodewijk, thanks for being with us today. Can you introduce yourself to our viewers, please?
Yeah, my name is Lodewijk or Louie, and I'm the CEO of the Anything app and co-founder. I had the idea about 3-4 years ago, and then subconsciously started developing it. But when I first researched it, I did it just after having the idea. Technology wasn't ready because you couldn't use credit cards on apps yet and that kind of thing. But I always kept it in the back of my mind. And then started exploring different industries. So I've done some consultancy, some banking. I've been in luxury hospitality. But the idea always kept nagging. I just wanted to do it so badly. And at some point, I pitched the CFO of a company where I was working, and the CFO was like, "I really love this idea, and I want to support you with it." So off we went, actually, and that is about 9 months ago. Yeah, say that's an introduction. Let's start with Josh. Josh is my co-founder, and I met Josh after he stopped his holiday in Bangkok with his wife. So he was traveling with his wife. They still had 3 months left on their holiday. And he's a very experienced CTO. He's done multiple startups. And I pitched him my idea. And Josh loved it. He loved the idea. He loved the potential behind it, the possibility of scaling, and just the amount of good it would do for society. So he decided to stay as I was interviewing multiple people. So I could involve him in the interview process, which dragged on for weeks. So he was holding his holiday for weeks together with his wife, and then got the job. And that means that they actually ended their holiday entirely, much to his wife's regret, I'm sure, and just started work straight away.
Wow.
So yeah, it's quite something. Anyway, so that's Josh. And then we have a couple of very experienced engineers. So we have Steve, who has 15 years of coding experience. We have Alex, who is 6-7 years and also very experienced in React Native. Then we have Ibtahal, who's like a 3-year specialist on what she does as well. So she's good at backend. So all in all, a pleasure. And Yoni, I actually know him from university. So he's an old friend of mine. I wanted to have him. I needed to have him because he's exceptionally bright. And he's one of those guys, you don't get him at the right time, you'll never get him again. Okay, so 3-4 years ago, I'm standing in this clothing store, and I'm a typical guy. I'm a horrible dresser, right? So I'm standing in this clothing store, and I have this clothing, and at that time, I'm getting so insecure about my clothing choice in general, because people always tell me to buy something different. I'm just asking and wondering, why can I not just video cam with someone who understands clothing? So when I'm in the clothing booth, I can show it to them, and they can explain to me, yes, you should purchase this, yes or no. Right? Okay. So it was just out of a necessity. I wanted this product for myself. And then I started thinking about it a lot more. And I realized that people weren't helping each other over the phone in this way. Right? Sure, you can post a question on a forum, but if you get a response that's not entirely sure, it can take days if you're lucky, or you don't get anything at all. But there's no way just to reach out to someone if you need their help. Okay. Why not? Right now, everyone's always figuring things out by himself. It's not necessary. So it's actually, I'm not going to build any exchange in the app at all. That's a massive misunderstanding. But what I'm doing is I'm integrating APIs, right, from decentralized exchanges. Because what my users need to be able to do is when they want to buy any coin, they need to be able to do it in the app. Right, yeah. That's just the way it is. This is something for normal people, everyday people, as well as experts, but for everyone to use. So it has to be super, super, super user friendly. So if they want any coin, that has to be click and then poof, the any coin come. So that just means that we integrate the APIs. That also means that the responsibility for all that stuff is not in our own hands, which is very comfortable. Yeah. Right? Great. Yeah. And but that means that it's only any coin to fiat. Yeah. They're popping up, actually. So they're popping up. So you have, I think, Bisq is developing it, and I read about another one. I'm sorry, I lost about the name, but I was reading on that yesterday. So yes, they're definitely coming, and otherwise you can hook multiple up to. You can create a chain and put it in your app like that.
Okay, so you have the technology figured out.
Unfortunately, technology is not that super complex, so it's something that is can definitely be done. Okay, so of course, there's a few upsides to any token, any coin. Some may not be discussed as I'm not a financial advisor, right? So,
okay.
but that is obviously a benefit. So, and what it comes down to for users is that we're going to give them benefits when they use the AnyCoin. So fiat is an expensive currency to transfer for us, which means that as a company, we essentially have to take a good commission for every transaction just to cover our own costs, and then we're not even making any money. With crypto, that the whole thing changes. So with fiat, we have to ask 15% commission, and then we're struggling, right?
Yeah.
And with crypto, a 5% commission is okay, and then we're technically better off than if we do the fiat, fascinatingly enough. And then from that 5%, we also burn. Long story short, so we make it cheaper for them. We unlock cross-border calling. So if they use the currency, they can call experts in different countries as well. And then also, if they want to do any kind of advertisements, then we put any coin in that chain as well. Okay, so this is a very long story. That's not a question that we can handle this entirely right now, entirety. But when it comes to fairness and reducing the amount of scams, is that you just need to build your system around it. So you need to have an analytics console that's monitoring everything on the background, and whenever there is an abnormality, it should be addressed immediately, and then there should be a zero tolerance policy. Okay. So what we do within the app, we lock everything onto the phone numbers. So that essentially means that if you commit a penalty or essentially we knock you off the app, and you cannot get back on unless you change your life around by taking a new phone number and this kind of thing. Right? Okay. So we monitor everything, and then we're very strict. And then we allow users, of course, to also contribute, saying like, hey, this person is not performing good service. Hey, this there could be improved. And then we take that into account as well. Sure. Okay. So there's a couple of reasons for that. The founders and a lot of people, we've lived in Thailand for a long time. So we understand the market very well. So we have our intellectual property holding in Netherlands, and we live in Thailand. We understand Thailand well, and we've done our market research here, and we know that this is a country where we can absolutely 100% make the app a massive success. And it has to do with the entrepreneurial spirit, the warmth, the Buddhism, the willingness to help each other of the people here. Okay. So we've been discussing with multiple parties here in Thailand as well, and there is a strong desire and need for the product already been expressed in certain verticals where people get extremely excited that we're coming, actually. Okay. So that's a very good thing, which makes a strong case for us for launching here first. But also it has to do with the Thai government who established Thailand 4.0, which is an initiative to create a startup community here. Okay. So they have come up with a number of initiatives, which has made it very attractive for foreign companies such as myself to establish ourselves here and then to create this awesome tech startup. And that includes certain things around ownership of the company that become better, or visa measures, or just the fact that I won't have to pay corporate income tax with my company for 5 years. Okay, some nice incentives there for you. Or that means also a big plus. And then if you add all these things up, then the quality of labor here is also very high for the cost of your staff. Okay. So these things, when you all mix it together, it's just, to me, it's the best place in Asia for sure. It's still figuring it out. So it's the same as the rest of the world, actually. So I'd say they're saying a bit more than Europe already. Europe is very standoffish, and they're probably going to come with one big thing in the future. Thailand so far, well, they're certainly friendly towards my company. Let's put it that way.
Okay, so you're happy with the current environment.
I mean, we still have to see how things develop because although countries are still figuring things out, but so far we wouldn't settle here if things weren't looking up. Well, actually, that's because, okay, this is going to sound very blunt and frank, but basically what I did, I just took my 3-year forecast of all my expenditures, everything that I planned, and then I just analyzed the percentages, of course, and that's how I presented it to you. So what you have there is absolutely what's going to happen, and it's just because marketing costs that much money. Yeah. That's just the way it is. So I mean, you can say I'm going to put there less, but then your company will be less successful.
Yeah, so it's the reality these days. Marketing seems to be the biggest part of every company, nearly.
It is, but I mean, there's a lot of competition, but it also, if you make sure that your cost per user is lower than their lifetime value, if you can arrange that, so that means that whenever you put money into marketing, essentially you're making a multiple, whether it's 1.5 or whatever, but if you're making that back, even if it's spread over time, then your company is winning big time. So then it doesn't really matter how much money you're putting into marketing because you're getting it back. Sure. So for a hard cap, I mean, it depends on ETH. We're raising 20,000 ETH. And 2 weeks ago, that was about $8 million, and now it's about $10 million. So if it becomes excessively large, then we're going to cap or hard cap. Because for our company, raising more than, let's say, 12, 13 million, that's just not necessary at this point in time. Okay. What other things are there to say? So our pre-sale is going live the 28th of May, which is still quite a long way off. There's a bit more than 40 days. So in this time we're starting to create this attention towards ourselves, having interviews such as this, and it's like slowly making the buzz come up. So it's all very exciting to us. And our product is set for launch in Q3. So we're a long way. We're on our second prototype. First prototype was pretty much 100% functional, but not scalable. So it's more functions as an investor demo. And what we're doing now is we've taken all the user feedback from the first prototype and putting it in the second with all the necessary backend, front end to make sure that you can throw a couple of million people at it and it won't crash, essentially.
Wow. Okay, so you're quite far along for an ICO.
For an ICO, we're quite far along. Yes.
Yeah, that's good to see because we don't like ICOs that have nothing to show besides a white paper, which too many at the minute.
Sure.
So that's good to see. So your ICO then starts on the 28th. Did I understand you correctly? 28th of May, you start the public sale.
That's correct. Public pre-sale. In private pre-sale, we're now discussing with 2 parties, so I can give you an answer on that question in about 3 weeks.
So that's still under ongoing.
That's like closing now. Well, personally, I mean, I'm a founder, so I would invest in this company because I believe in the product. I think the product is absolutely kick-ass, and I think that's what you should look at if you're participating in our ICO as well, is to really take a look at what kind of products people still really need in their daily lives, right? What is still missing? What could enrich a person's life? What are their concerns? And are those concerns being addressed by this ICO? And I feel like if you take a look at the Anything app, it addresses very powerful problems from people because it raises money for them, which is such a massive concern that should not be overlooked. It helps people save time, and God knows everyone, as millennials, everyone's waiting for that too. And then if we can start the revolution where people actually help each other over the phone, the amount of stress and just ineffectiveness that's going to save. And this is happening, by the way. I'm saying if, but it's more like when. That's going to save. That's just astronomical. And I feel that from the people that I've talked to, which is quite a lot. I've been at this for 9 months now, and I've done my market research. There is a very real need for this product. This is not a fling. This is not a luxury item. This is something that's actually really missing right now. And I feel that is the thing you should look at, because successful companies, they create something that will last. And that is what we're doing here. Okay, so a quick overview for the next year. Very soon we're going to start our working company here in Thailand. So we're establishing our subsidiary. Everyone coming into the office, because right now some people still work remote, which is something that I'd like to stop, because it would be nice to have everyone together. And then we keep working on it. Q3 we have our app out. Q3 is it's a fully functional app, but it's more towards an MVP style, right? So it's not as fully featured, because that'd be insane. It's just not the right way to develop an app. Q4 more features. Q1 more features, building desktop version around that time as well, maybe Q4 already even. And then if we take the 1 year specter, and at the end of that first year, we're going to launch our second app using any coin, which is cool too. Right now, really specifically targeting the Thai market, because again, it's a missing need here that is going to make people very excited, which is a good thing. It's a different app, exactly. And we're deliberately being a little bit quiet, well, not quiet, but critical about it. Because it's a year off. And we're, this is a very public thing in ICO like this. So if you really shout, this is what the market needs and we're developing this right now, then if you wait a year, someone else is going to do it first.
So you need to keep it under wraps for now.
But what I can say already, and what I have said before, is that it has to do with giving people better access to crypto market, to the crypto market in Thailand. So we're going to make it a lot easier for people to get involved with less risk. That's not necessarily true, because of course, you never know how these things pick up, how they scale, because we're building a really, really, really super strong reference system in this. So you remember how Dropbox scaled like that? I mean, of course, these are all things that we're going to do too, right? I mean, if they did it, then we're going to implement these things as well, not stupid. So we're doing all of these things as well. And it's very possible. I mean, in the States, how many people do you need to have the convenience of this app? You just need to have 3,000-4,000 on it, and you'll still be able to connect to lawyers, doctors. You'll be able to get advice on mechanics. You can talk to a handyman, and so on and so forth. So it will all be there, but it's just the fact that as a company, at least we're clearly saying this is where we start. But I promise you, all these other companies have to do that too, because otherwise you're wasting resources. You're spreading them too thin. Right? So we're just showing our targeted strategy. And the reason why they should invest is because one, they help, participate, is because one, I didn't say, sorry, so I'm not a financial advisor. Anyway, it's because they really enable something for society here. Right? So what they're doing is they're helping to make a step towards a better future. And it's like a significantly better future, because this is going to put food on the table for people who are struggling with it. It's not a minor thing. This is going to change lives in a more serious way. So they're helping with that, which is awesome. And then it's also just the fact that this token is going to be used a lot. So it's going to be an active token.
So it's going to be big demand for it. Interest contributors. I suppose
it's certainly going to be traded. Let's put it like that. We're doing token burns as well, yeah. So whenever we take 5% commission, out of that 5%, we burn 20%. So that is done through smart contracts. So the token burning is continuous. And also, if we give people incentives to join our app, say that these incentives are not being used, then we burn those as well. So I don't know, it's up to company discretion to burn more, but I don't think it'll be absolutely necessary. If it is, then we'll do it. But the burning is part of the system, sure.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your time, Louie. Looks like you have a really interesting project on your hands that solves a real problem for real people in the real world, and I'm sure it's going to be a massive success.
Well, thank you. Look, we're going to make sure it happens. Trust me, we've done our thinking, of course, and we've been at this for a long time. So give it a half a year, download it.